Hey y'all, it's been a little while, but I'm just going to try and do a little video making some gumbo. It'll actually be a really big pot, but I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm kind of limited to what I can do right now, no tripod, that sort of thing. But this is the vast majority of the ingredients. That's your trinity, your garlic, celery, bell pepper, and onion. I have some Savoy's andouille, some Richard's pickled pork. Couldn't get the Savoy's this time. I'm not really sure why. And what I did for the ability to make it quick was I buy one or two of those pre-cooked chickens for $4.98 at Walmart and debone it. Now once I debone it, I take all the bones and everything else, and I just come over here and I just get me a big pot of stock going. So all the bones, the skin, you know, everything was in this stock. Then I threw in some onions, bell pepper, celery, some garlic, crushed red pepper flakes, black peppercorns, that sort of thing. And we just have this stock going at the moment. And one thing you'll notice about this stock is they really don't have a lot of fat in it because these chickens are cooked on that rotisserie. So much of the fat drains off. Now there's some, and that's what I do. I just spend some time going ahead and skimming the top of it. I mean, not too difficult. And let it simmer for about an hour, hour and a half. I mean, you can go long, but you really don't need to. So yeah, just got all that stuff in. We simmer it, skim that stock off. Alright y'all, I let that stock cook for about 2 hours, and then I strained it. We got a nice rich looking stock. Certainly it's not perfect, but I mean it'll do just fine. And I probably ended up with a solid gallon, maybe a little more, but I didn't need the rest. So we're going to go ahead and use that. I'm fixing to start the roux, and then we'll get everything going, show you how we do it. Alright, we'll get this roux going here. I got probably about a cup of oil in the bottom of this pot. And one thing that I was always taught is, you know, it's half flour, half oil. But I think that's a misconception. It's by volume. So you always end up with a little bit more flour than oil. Once I get the flour in there, kind of get it going, I'll show you what it looks like. Alright y'all, I had that, about a cup of oil in there. Then I added some flour. But you can see that's just too thin. That's not what we want. So I'm going to add some more flour and try and work it through so y'all can see how it turns out when we're getting right. Did y'all see that amount of flour? Now this will get pretty thick where it kind of stays on the sides, but as soon as it warms up, it's all going to start to puddle back in the middle, and that's what you want. See, it's kind of standing on the side, but as that warms up and starts to puddle in the middle, that should be pretty close to right. Now we're just going to keep working this roux. Y'all know the magic of that. You got to just keep stirring it till, you know, it's dark chocolate for the most part. See how it just comes back together in the middle there? That's what you're looking for. Alright, I'm going to keep working it. When it gets to be about the right color, we'll get the veggies and stuff in there and we'll go from there. Alright y'all, that roux is getting pretty close. You can see it thickened up a good bit. Now when we add the pickled meat and the vegetables and stuff like that, it's going to become more of a paste. And it's actually going to keep cooking. So I'm getting to the point where I'm about ready to start putting everything in. Because as you'll see, this will continue to cook and get darker and darker as you know you add your other ingredients. Alright, I just went in with the pickle meat. I'm going to let that, well, I got it all incorporated in there. I'm gonna let that cook down a little bit, get browned off in the roux. Then I'll be adding all the mixed vegetables. That roux is going to render out some fat out of that pickle meat and kind of thin it up a little bit, and that's just what you want before the vegetables go in. I like to turn my fire down to low here. So once again, you know, it can just render some of that fat out. And as I said, as you can see, it's just getting darker as we go. But you don't want to be on medium heat or anything like that anymore. That's a good way to burn it, because the roux can still burn at this point. Now I just went in with all the vegetables. I'm going to let them just, well, I incorporated them, got them stirred around in the roux with the pickle meat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just put the lid on this on low and let those vegetables sweat out and let all those flavors just get married together. And then we're going to go in with the andouille, cook it, well, add the stock, cook it for a while, and then the chicken's the last thing to go in, because like I said, we bought that, you know, that rotisserie chicken, so it's cooked. You just need to put it in, let it warm, and you're ready to go. Alright, y'all, I'll let this sweat down for probably 15 to 20 minutes, letting those vegetables get tender. But what's going to happen now is the camera's going to fog up. Too close, I suppose. What's going to happen now is I'm going to go in with the sausage, the andouille, and kind of go through the same process, let it render some fat and finish cooking those vegetables. Then it'll be time to get the stock in and just let this thing cook for a couple hours. Alright, I got that andouille in there, just incorporated it. Once again, I'm just going to put the lid on and let it render its own fat. That's going to help continue to soften the vegetables. You know, you got to stir it every 5 minutes or something. Just let it go and keep it on low with the lid on it, and you'll be fine, you know. Oh, one other thing I want to say. This is my process. I think there's 100, 150 or 200 ways to build gumbo. This is just what works for me. I like the way mine comes out. I do it the same way every time, other than maybe doing my own chicken versus buying a store-bought one. And it always seems to get good reviews. So yeah, y'all plan on giving it a try, you know. Alright, y'all, I'll let this stuff render down for a while. I'm fixing to start adding the stock. Now, one of the things that I think is very important is adding a little bit at a time and getting it stirred in until you get a fair amount. I've heard all kinds of stories about you have to put cold stock and hot roux or vice versa. I really don't know about that. This is just what works for me. I put in a little bit at a time and work it in, and then I've never had my roux break when I do it like this. But man, one day I was cooking a huge pot of gumbo, and I had everything ready, the roux was all done, and I had a hot pot of stock that I just dumped the whole hot pot of stock in the roux all at one time, and it destroyed the gumbo. The flour separated from the grease, you know. I mean, I guess it was edible, but it wasn't that good. Anyway, I got about a cup in there now, so I can feel safely that I can add the rest and get this going for us. Get it, you know, get it up to a boil and let it simmer. All right, I'll get that going for you, and then we'll show you what it looks like. All right, y'all. I put about 3 quarts of that stock in this pot. It's a 6-quart pot, I believe, or 6.5, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I got about 3 quarts in there. Brought it up to a boil, then turn it back down to a simmer. What I'm going to do is I'll just stick a cover on it, and I'll let it simmer for about 2 hours and reduce. You know, it's going to cook down, let all those flavors marry, come together. So we'll let that happen. Then what we'll do is we'll go in with that chicken. Like I said, it's already cooked. Don't want to overcook it and have it get all shredded and everything else. I'll go in with the chicken, cook it just a little bit, but I saved about almost a quart of stock. So if I need to, at that point, I'll add some stock, get it the right thickness, and we'll finish it off with some filet. Oh, one last thing. I added some garlic powder, a little bit of Zatarain's Creole seasoning, some black pepper. But what I learned just over the years, with everything that's in the sausage and the salt meat and the pickle meat, don't add salt. Adjust your salt at the very end, and then you could add a little more Creole seasoning because it's got a lot of salt. That's one of the main ingredients. It probably is the main ingredient, is salt. So add a little bit and then adjust at the end. All right. Well, when this after this simmers a couple of hours, we'll get the chicken in. We'll see what thickness it is, and we'll go from there. Alright, y'all, I ended up adding all that chicken. It's been cooking just for a couple of minutes here. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of chicken in here, salt meat or pickle meat, sausage. Just ended up being a pretty big pot of gumbo. What I like to do now is, it's been simmering a few minutes. I'm just going to add the filet to the top of it and turn it off. You don't want to boil it or bring it back to a simmer or anything once the filet's in it. You just want to let it sit for a little bit. I think it's going to be good. Like I said, man, just a ton of food in there. And I guess one other thing I'll mention before I forget, everything you add to this tends to have oil in it. The pickle meat, depending on how fatty it is, the actual sausage itself, you start with a roux. So as this was simmering, I ended up skimming some oil off the top. Actually, we probably got about a half a cup, which is a lot. I generally don't get that. Maybe it had a lot to do with the Richards salt meat. Anyway, let's get this filet in here. Alright, it's completely shut off. What I do is I put the filet in at the pot and just leave it sit for a little bit, and then basically it's ready to eat. I'll start my rice kind of now while this is cooling off. If you tried to eat this right now, it would be so hot. Anyway, that's about how much filet I put to a pot this size, and that's going to thicken it up a little bit. I did end up using the rest of that stock. Once I added the chicken, you know, it got so thick there wasn't much there. So anyway, this is about done. I'm going to stick a lid on it and just let it chill for 20 or 30 minutes while I get the rice going, and we'll show you what the finished product looks like. Alright, it's been fun. Alright, y'all, that's it. All the filet just kind of blended in. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good pot of gumbo. Yeah, we'll get that rice done. I got it back there. As soon as that's done, we'll be plating up some bowls and show y'all what it looks like. Alright, y'all, this is the finished bowl of gumbo. I think it came out good. The only thing is I'm missing some potato salad. Should have made some of that to go with it. Hope it looks good.